Hello, everyone. An interesting question. You eat it every day, but do you know the true story of bread? From ancient Egypt to modern day sourdough, this is the surprisingly rich and incredibly slow history of a food that helped shape entire civilizations. Let us begin, not with noise, but with silence. In a time long before factories, before grocery aisles filled with white sandwich loaves, there were only grains. Simple, small seeds growing quietly in the fertile soils near rivers, in particular along the Nile in what we now call ancient Egypt. Around 4000 BC, early humans discovered that if you ground these grains between stones and mixed the flour with water, you could make a kind of paste. If left in the sun, this paste dried. If placed on hot stones near a fire, it baked. The result was something chewy, rough, and flat. These were the first breads. Flatbreads made without yeast, without sugar, without oil. Just grain and water. They were simple, functional, filling. Bread was never just food, it was survival. In Egypt, bread became so essential that it was used as currency. Workers who helped build the pyramids were paid in rations of bread and beer. These early loaves were coarse, sometimes gritty from sand or stone that had mixed in during the grinding process. Yet they were treasured, nourishing, symbolic. As time moved on, slowly, softly, bread evolved. Across the ancient world, in Mesopotamia, Greece, and Rome, bread making became an art. But a major shift came with a quiet discovery: fermentation. No one knew why it happened. But sometimes when flour and water were left out too long, they began to bubble. The dough would swell, puff, rise. The texture would become lighter, airier. This was yeast, a natural microorganism in the air, and so began the era of leavened bread. This was the beginning of sourdough. It was not invented, but stumbled upon. It had flavor, slightly tangy, mildly sour, and a texture unknown to earlier bakers. Ancient Egyptians are believed to be the first to use this fermentation process intentionally, though they didn't understand the science behind it. They just knew that if you saved a bit of dough from yesterday's batch and added it to the new one, magic happened. As centuries passed, ovens developed, from open fires to clay ovens that could trap heat, allowing bakers to produce larger loaves with more consistent crusts. Bread became not only tastier, but more beautiful, crusty, golden, soft on the inside. Kings ate it. Soldiers marched with it. Farmers baked it at sunrise. Bread was everywhere. In medieval Europe, bread defined your class. The poor ate rough, dark loaves made from rye or barley. The wealthy enjoyed fine white loaves, sifted and soft. In monasteries, bread was sacred. It was baked slowly, shared humbly, often in silence. Still, for most of history, bread remained local. Made at home, shared among families. Hand-mixed, hand-shaped. Each loaf unique. Then came the Industrial Revolution, and with it, the Great Transformation. In the 19th and 20th centuries, machines began to take over. Large mills ground flour. Kneading was mechanized, baking became faster, more efficient. But something changed. Taste and texture were sacrificed for consistency and speed. Factories produced thousands of loaves per day, uniform, white, sliced. In America and Europe, the pre-sliced sandwich bread became the norm. People no longer needed to bake. Supermarkets replaced bakeries. The smell of fresh bread disappeared from many homes. For a while, this was seen as progress, but bread had lost something. In recent decades, a quiet shift began, a movement back to the old ways. People began to crave something real, something authentic. Thus returned the humble sourdough, hand-shaped, naturally fermented, baked in stone ovens or cast iron pots. Artisan bread, they called it. And now, in kitchens around the world, dough rests again on countertops, covered with cloth, rising slowly through the night, a ritual reborn. Even today, bread is evolving. Bakers experiment with ancient grains, spelt, einkorn, millet. Others use new ingredients, beetroot, charcoal, seaweed. Technology meets tradition. Sourdough starter is shared through apps. Tutorials are watched online. Yet the essence is the same: grain, water, time, and care. From flatbreads baked on hot stones to wild fermented loaves with crackling crusts, the story of bread is not fast. It never was. It rises slowly, just like the dough. And so, as you lay back now, with your eyes growing heavier, imagine that ancient Egyptian bakery. A fire flickers. Flour dust floats through the air. A baker lifts a wooden peel, removing a loaf still steaming. Outside, the Nile flows, quietly, predictably, as it always has. Tomorrow, there will be more bread to bake. Sleep now, and let the story of bread continue in dreams.